Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us at TCCA 2020, especially this, our 10th anniversary. We are so excited that you have joined us from all over the world. We have another exciting session for you. I am your host, Kelly Smith. I am a digital learning specialist in Aldine ISD. Before we get started, if you have any comments or questions, please post those in the chat. Our amazing co-host, Brooke Martin, is a program director for career and technology here in Aldine. She will be monitoring the chat. At the end of the session, I will give you the super secret password so that you can get your certificate, because we all know we want credit for being here on an amazing, beautiful Saturday. Okay, now with further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce your presenter, Rachel Clarke. She is coming to us live from Aldine ISD. Okay, take it away, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great conference. I know I am. And one of the things is that I like to use Nearpod just so that as I am speaking into the void of my computer, we can interact and I can get a temperature check and we can really collaborate throughout this session. If you will please go to nearpod.com/join, and the code is BA4LT. Now, one of the things as you are joining, I will say, I don't know how familiar many of you are with Nearpod. I really enjoy using it with students, especially younger learners. I prefer to actually send a direct code link, which is something else that is available, and that really helps you when you have younger learners or elementary learners to be able to get to the learning much quicker. I will talk a little bit about myself. I am in my 21st year of public education. I have had a lot of different roles. I like to joke and say, while I'm over 40, I am vintage, not old, and I'm still figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. I have been a bilingual teacher. I have been an instructional coach. I've also been at the district level as a program coordinator and also a campus administrator. 2 years ago, I followed my heart and I went back into the classroom, and it was the best decision I ever made. And I've never really stopped being a learner. And I also just want to highlight my goal for this session is that we very much interact also, because I do not have all the answers. I, just like all of you, am continuing to, learn and grow in the new normal. So without further ado, I am going to share the presentation. Of course, like I said, welcome to my presentation, Blending MyOn and Nearpod for Effective and Engaging Read Alouds. Our goals for today is that you are going to know the value and benefit of Read Alouds, regardless of whatever literacy instruction program that you or your district are currently utilizing. Understand that there are technology tools to really engage students and get feedback during Read Alouds, and also be able to experience a Read Aloud excerpt with MyOn and Nearpod. And also, I just kind of want to know who's out there today. Are you a teacher? Are you an instructional coach? Are you a campus or district leader? So go ahead and just take a minute. I hope I can get everyone to participate. Oops, sorry. I apologize, everybody. A flick of the mouse. So wonderful. And I see right now we have 27 participants in our session today. And give it just a few more minutes for others to go ahead and click. And I'm just going to go check out who else is here. Okay, wonderful. It looks like most of us are teachers. I do have some instructional coaches. and also campus and district leaders. Thank you so much for being here. I also see some of my Orange Grove Elementary coworkers. Thank you so much for coming and for supporting me in my maiden voyage of virtual presenting. So to a group of adults. Okay, we do have another. I would love to, if you want to drop in the chat, Rhonda, what your role is. And also, Jamie, if you're comfortable, I would love to know more about what your role is in public education. I, of course, am a teacher.
Hey, Rachel, just real quick, someone wanted the code. It's BA4LT.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Going to move on. Another aspect that I really like to use in Nearpod, and it works with also Read Alouds really well, and it's probably one of the ones that gives students the most excited about participating in a low stakes way, is the collaboration board. So just go ahead and maybe share, why do you think it's important to have Read Alouds? You can drop a thought, you can also drop an image if you would like about Read Alouds. And so the way that you do this is you can type here and then put submit. Okay, wonderful. Yes. Great. Or you can also just do a picture this way. So just if people want to go ahead and do pictures, I do encourage pictures a lot also. I am a bilingual teacher because it really also lets those students who are more in the emergent stage and maybe a little more reluctant to speak in English to participate, and also just let us as teachers see what's going on between their ears. Yes, it absolutely exposes students to different types of reading, the love of reading, absolutely. Modeling good oral reading and fluency, and also those comprehension skills. Thinking at the think alouds too, what you as a reader do. Okay, so very good. And so, yeah, and also showing emotion. Yes, and that fluency. I know one of my favorite things is when I go ahead and get to make the character voices, vocabulary. So important. And also the modeling and making those connections, whether it's to another book that they've read, to the real world. Awesome, exactly. And yes, the turn and talks. Absolutely. So we're going to go on. So we know what the experts say. Of course, Lucy Calkins, who is really one of the gurus right now as far as Teachers College, she stated that Read Alouds are a powerful force in children's lives, and it is the single most important thing a teacher does during the school day. And I will say that Read Alouds are probably, in the reading wars, one of the few things where there's really not a lot of controversy around it. All the way back to the initial research around reading, that Getting America Reading back in the 80s, they mentioned Read Alouds. And like I said, they're really all of the research, regardless of whether you're whole language, phonics, or what your literacy program is, we all have a lot of common understanding around Read Alouds and how valuable they are. Kim Trillis, the author of the Read Aloud Handbook, has said that people would stand in line for days and pay hundreds of dollars if there was a pill that could do everything for a child that Read Alouds do. It expands their interest in books, vocabulary, comprehension, grammar, and also increases their attention span. Simply put, it is a free oral vaccine for literacy. And this is one of those quotes that it's one of my favorite quotes as far as the value of Read Alouds. Now, how are you doing as far as some of the challenges? Of course, in March, the pandemic hit, and we were still trying to engage and read aloud? Some of us are still struggling. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced with read alouds in the virtual world? Mic issues, okay. Distractions, lack of student engagement, yes. Creating links that work, okay. I'm interested in learning more about that one. Internet usage, yes. The spinning wheel of death, making sure they're actually reading. Very much, very much. Yes, lack of technology and devices. Yes, if you're not in a one-to-one district, that's also something that has been challenging. Let me see some of the other responses. Access to digital text, lack of focus. Absolutely. And one of the things, read alouds being live, engagement and motivation. Yes, lack of parent knowledge of technology. And that's something also I'm going to cover in my next session when I get into how you can use Google Blogger to start to organize ways to communicate with parents in a way that will build their knowledge of technology. But that's another, okay, great. Great. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. And I also had a lot of those same issues when I started. And so, not to torture you, but this was really what I did, and I think what all of us did. You just propped up your cell phone on a tripod or up against a can of pop or what have you, and read to kids. And so that is really what I did. Don't worry, you're not going to have to sit through the entire 4 minutes. But this was what I did. This was a fluency read aloud to model for students how to read a nonfiction text.
Rachel, you may need to make that a little bit louder.
Okay, so I apologize. Let me try to make it louder. Speaking of technology issues and read alouds, okay, let's see.
Maybe just a little bit louder.
Is that better?
I don't know if we can, I can't hear it. I'm not sure.
No? Okay. Okay, well, like I said, speaking of, right now, in the middle of the presentation, we're seeing the videos, there's technology issues, there's other things that can happen. The big thing I noticed was that I really didn't know how my students were reacting, and I really didn't know how much they were engaging. And so, you know, at the end of the day, we all have that one student. Mine last year was named Marilyn. This year it is Ruth, who did all my virtual assignments. And so you're just like so excited, but then you don't have a class of one. In my class, I have about 54 students learning online. So this is really the data that tells us that this form of reading instruction does not work. Now, whether you are synchronous or asynchronous, just like what a lot of you shared in the collaboration board, it's kind of like talking into a black hole. Or really, like I found this online, they are like seances. It's like, are you here? Please, if you're with us, send a sign. I know, they sometimes don't have their cameras on if you are synchronous. And if they're asynchronous, a lot of them you can almost visualize, especially when you're looking at the exit tickets. They are like us as teachers with like bloodborne pathogen and other mandatory trainings at the beginning of the year. They're just like happy clicking, super, super fast to get through it and not really doing what read alouds are supposed to do, which is promote this love for reading. And so what do we do about that? And that was when I started to really come across something, MyOn, and coupling that with Nearpod. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and, in case you're not familiar with MyOn, I am going to go into my Clever and show you what the MyOn program is and what it does. Okay, sorry, computer is, for some reason, this logged out. But like we said, all of us are still learners. And in the digital world, lots of action and adventure. Okay, so this is MyOn. And what MyOn is it is a platform by Renaissance where you can actually select read alouds, which I'm going to show you how you can partner those two in a minute, but you can do a lot of other really cool things. One of the things that you can do that I have spent time doing in terms of promoting the love of reading is you can actually recommend books and build bookshelves. You can build bookshelves by genres. Here I have built one for my students for biographies. You can also build them by reading levels, issues or topics that they're interested in on a fairly regular basis. My kids will ask me to make a bookshelf, and this is one of the ways that you get them reading. And so you can build these bookshelves, and there's all sorts of different ways that you can build them to really get kids reading. Because the other thing we know, in addition to read alouds, is kids read more when it's like a muscle. The more you practice, the better you get. And MyOn gives a wide variety of books that students can choose from that teachers can then go and organize by those topics of interest to get them more engaged. The other thing that MyOn can do is that when you can also go in and you can have books read to them, or you can have the setting where students read the books themselves. They can also browse. And they can browse by genres, hobbies, and when they first log in, it will also ask them a series of questions. So the program itself, as far as promoting that love of reading, is already allowing for ways for kids to have books at their fingertips. Now, in terms of the MyOn and the Nearpod, what we went ahead and did is I started to begin to actually blend these two together. And I want to take you through what it is like for a student. Before I do that, though, I wanted to know what are any questions you have about MyOn, or what are some other digital platforms that you have used? Is there anybody who maybe can put in the chat other ones that they have used or so forth? Okay, and also I will show you, I will go to my, and then the other thing is you can create projects and get reports. But the students, what you can do is you can actually here, you can edit, not the students, but you can actually edit the audio, whether it is read to them or whether they read it themselves. And you can also create groups and assign them different projects or different specific reading around either their level, the genre you're studying, etc. So right now, I want to show you what I did as far as blending, and I'm going to take you through the experience that my students get. Now, I'm not sure if you will be able to hear it on my screen, but if you are in the Nearpod, you will be able to hear it on your end. So we're going to go. This is a book I've actually used with my students. It's a historic fiction book for about 4th, 5th grade from MyOn, and Fights for Freedom. And I'm going to show you how I went ahead and blended these two platforms together for a more interactive read aloud.
We have a question that
Yes.
says, could you use MyOn to take an AR quiz?
That I'm not sure of, but I'm not sure if you could use it to take an AR quiz. I do know that I can show this before, because that what you can do is with the projects, when you go to the projects, what you can do is, and I'll show you some of the projects I made so what you can do is there are certain questions that you can go ahead and create and then get student feedback that way. So what I did was I embedded, you have different graphic organizers. For example, you can do a cause and effect, an event, main idea, there are different graphic organizers that you can embed into a project, and then you can actually assign that to students. You can also, there are Lexile exams, not for all of the books, but several of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I know several years ago, you could actually create AR exams based on books that maybe were not available in your school library. And you can also give them writing tasks. And then you can make it any way, and then you can set your word goal and also put a writing checklist. I don't really use the writing checklist so much. What I mainly do is I mainly put the task objective, and then I will add an item, and then sorry, let me go back again. So I will go ahead and I will write the task objective, and then up here, I will go ahead and also put sentence frames for students to help get them started on the way to go ahead and try to probe their thinking for the task I have assigned. I don't know, did that answer the question?
I think that, yeah. And then lastly, can you show how to build a book list?
Oh, absolutely. This is like so fun. So this is like going to the library. So you go here and you go to search. And then it says 0 books. And I know one thing my kids are all into that we've been doing is we've gone ahead and let's go into, with Corona and all of those sorts of things, they're into human body, they're into diseases. So, and then you can have all of these. Now, some of them are more, you need to use your own professional judgment as far as what's appropriate for your grade level. But let's see, there's this one about smallpox. I will go ahead and I will open the information. It'll tell me the recommended reading level. It will tell me the Lexile, if it's part of a book series. And then what I'll do is I will love this book, which you can see down here. Oh, here, let me do that again. So then I add it to my list. And then after that, I'll add maybe one more dangerous diseases. Apparently I already have in my human body book, and I'll add pink eye just for fun. Then I need to go to where this heart is. That's the second thing I do. and I wait patiently for the spinning wheel of death, as I call it. Sometimes, and then what you're going to see is you're going to see all the books, all the different series, the bundles they're called. And these are just different books I have favorited. So you're going to add a bundle. Oh, hold on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a bundle, and I'm going to call it, I don't know, illnesses. And then all you do is add a plus. And then you go through here. Now, these books are books that I have favorited, but I haven't actually put into a bundle yet. Like I said, I spend so much time. This is my new Pinterest. And then you just drag it into that bundle. And after you do that, then you'll click on the bundle, and then you go to the gear, and you are going to share with students. And you can share until, for example, the end of your unit is done. You can also share just with no limitation. I know recently I've shared some of them all the way till December, but I couldn't share to the end of the year, and I got panicked, and I asked my iTech if MyOn was going away because that was going to make me very sad. And she said, no, it's just apparently, once the new school year starts, then I'll go in and update the calendar during Christmas break. So that it is super easy. It is just as addictive as Pinterest. If you are a lover of books, which I'm sure you are, that's why you came to this session. And you can also edit them very, very easily. You can go to, and so like if I decide this fairy tale book one, well, the level I'm in this year, I really don't think this is one that my kids need access to. Then I can go ahead, and then down here where it has the gray, I just go ahead and I remove it, and it disappears from my bookshelf. It's extremely user friendly, and I say that because while I am presenting at TCCA, like I said, I am vintage, and I'm not a techie by nature. I was that teacher who was trying to, for those of you that may be more veteran like me, I was that teacher when we had overhead projectors and we were like bringing in Elmos. I was trying to like hide my overhead projector in the closet, hoping they'd forget about it because I had no idea how I would function without the overhead projector in my life. So it's very easy to make bookshelves, to change bookshelves. Now, when you're also searching, they do, for those of you that do Teachers College or Balanced Literacy or do Lucy Calkins, they also have them by levels. All the books have Lexiles, not all the books have the letters. And so, but there are online tools and apps for you to go ahead and look based on Lexile what the letter may be, if that's something you're interested in. Are there any other questions?
There's a one that says, how would you use this for a first grade class?
Oh, first grade? First grade, you can look at, they have all levels. I will say also, if I have any other bilingual teachers here today, the Spanish offerings are much more vast, just like they often are when we're talking about those lower and primary grades. So let me do, I don't know, Goldilocks. Okay, let me do the Three Bears. I'm assuming I am not a primary teacher, so I am going to go ahead and let's see here. Let me get the information on this. And so this is a level K. This is something that obviously your first graders, especially early in the year, may not be able to access or read, but this is something you may want to do with the Read Aloud. So because the program reads, you can go ahead and it will read it to them. And we go ahead and we start. And I will say this tool all the time is adding new resources. So we'll just go ahead and I'll show you. And it models reading to them, and it also highlights. So you see, it's modeling all of those things, the voices, the intonation, and also what I love about this, because I do have emergent bilingual students, is it highlights word for word. And so not only are they listening to the read aloud, but they're able to make that connection of the words that are coming out of your mouth with the words that are on the page. So thank you for that question. I hope that was helpful. And so this is all great. Like I said, I do not work for Renaissance. I do not work for MyOn, but I absolutely love it. And even with this tool, as I was working summer camp this year, it was like, okay, but how do I get the feedback that we need to really be able to take this tool and then extend it into a read aloud? And so with Nearpod, this is what I went ahead and did. So let me. Okay, so as you see, this was, now I personally have used Screencastify. I know there are a number of other tools, but all I did up to this point was go to the Nearpod, or I'm sorry, go to MyOn and then use what the feature of actually having it read to them. Now the next step, I apologize, everybody. My other computer went to sleep, so I'm having to go in and re-log in to Drive to get us to the next part of the Nearpod. And I sincerely apologize and appreciate everyone. Okay, there it is. Whew. Okay. Like I said, the virtual world, it's never a dull moment. Always lots of action and adventure. So then after that, I am going to go into, then I go ahead and there's an open-ended question. And so students can go ahead and we go ahead and we go back to, in the first paragraph, Anne is shivering and cold. What does she think about trying to warm herself up? Here is the clue from the text. Earlier, the sun and hard work in the field kept her warm. She was thinking about, and then students go ahead, and if some of you would like to, as my student participants, as we're doing this simulation, go ahead and type in what were some of the things that they were, that she may have been thinking about. One of the other things when I blend it with Nearpod, I like to do record audio. So this feature in Nearpod is a speech to text feature so that you can promote accessibility for those students that maybe have other learning differences or learning needs. Okay. Yeah, so working to stay warm, we have a response. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is as a teacher, with the Nearpod, my students, and you all being my students right now, are seeing the actual questions and responding to them while I am on another computer and I am in the background getting the immediate feedback and also being able to respond. As far as speaking into the void and combating the seance factor, as I call it, where you're like, please send me a sign, are you alive? It also allows you to go ahead and personally acknowledge who's responded. Oh, Kim, I love that response. those sorts of things. And then that's going to get other kids excited. And also it's still a low stakes way because nothing is public. So I, as the teacher, can see everything, but kids in the background can respond and participate. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next. And then I'm going to give you just, what do you visualize it as you listen to this first page of historic fiction? This is a drawing. This is how you can go ahead and see what's going on between kids' ears. And this also, once again, for those kids who are maybe more introverted, shy, and it allows you to see. And also I can go ahead and see who has started drawing, who has not. If students maybe aren't that artistic, then they can go ahead and they can do a Google search. Like, for example, I would put a girl warming herself by stove. I don't know what's going to come up. I'll apologize in advance if there's something inappropriate. So maybe I'll go ahead and I can add something like this, and I put save. And then students, they can play with it. They can make it larger. They can make it smaller. They can put multiple sorts of pictures and things and really manipulate it. They can draw, they can erase. And so, like I said, this is another low stakes way for students to be able to interact, and for us as teachers to go ahead and we can choose to share, which I'm going to right now, if you're doing asynchronous. And then that promotes ways to be like, oh, this is one of the visualizations. Can you talk more about why you chose this? Those sorts of things. So it really is a great way. Like I said, for me, I have found that it is a better way to get students engaged. And for me as a teacher, to keep that momentum up about getting excited about the reading. And I am going to go ahead and we're going to do another page just to sort of show you.
Mama was a strong woman who always said,
hold on. Sorry, everybody. Oh. Okay, and go to the next slide. This is another one, the quiz. Students love the quiz. And this also, this is a STAR question stem, getting into figurative language. You know, what was the reason? It's cause and effect. It's also figurative language for the reason the mama's fire burning out. And then usually I'll give students about a minute, two. And while I understand this isn't quite as interactive as, you know, the turn and talk, this is another way to, like I said, I keep going back to seeing what's going on in between students' ears. And this works whether you're asynchronous or synchronous. So this is another great way to, like I said, just take this tool and then blend it with Nearpod to get more feedback. And then Nearpod also has reports that you can do. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to answer B, submit. And then you can also go ahead and edit your answers if you want. Like if a kid says, oh no, let me edit it. And so this, I'm looking at my clock. I'm realizing I'm running a little bit short on time. So I want to go ahead and fast forward for a minute because I do want to give you all opportunities for questions. And also, Oh, let me go ahead. So this is just more the collaboration board, all those sorts of things. There's specific tools in Nearpod that work. So would you plan for your read aloud with MyOn and Nearpod? It's really not all that different than planning for a read aloud as far as what we know is best practice. First, you're going to select your book. Then you are going to select a format for recording your reading. And then you're going to record your reading. Now, I don't know. You can also choose with MyOn or any other app. You can be the person reading with the inflection and things to model that for students. I tend to do sort of an A-B pattern. Sometimes I will read it myself, and then for that personal connection with my virtual students, and then sometimes I will have it with the narrator who is in the program actually narrating. I will say I always love the action music. So regardless of which I personally try to do as a teacher, I always will do the action music because that just kind of jumps kids. We never had that as a traditional read aloud. We didn't have a da-da-da. That is something, well, I mean, we could do it like I did right now, but it's not quite as engaging. Now, just in terms of
Rachel, I'm sorry, 9 minutes warning.
I know.
Okay.
That's why I had to fast forward. I realized. So thank you. So what sorts of tools do you guys use? There's a lot out there. I use Screencastify, although I went to a session this morning where I got this great extension I'm going to be playing with, which is record and slide. So, but there's Loom. You can pin either Zoom or Google Meets. I don't know which sorts of platforms you use. Oh, there's another. I would always love to hear about another because we're always trying to get more tools in our tool belts. So, so there are a lot of different ways that you can record. I'm seeing a lot of you there. Okay, so there are a lot of Google Meets where you pin the tab. Also some Loom and some Screencastify. Like I said, if whoever uses the other, I would love if you could drop it in the chat because I'm always, and I'm sure other people here, you know, we're constantly trying to look for things that will make us more efficient and more effective. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and answer my own. And thank you for that. And most engaging activities that are available in Nearpod for this purpose, the poll, multiple choice. I think while that's not the best way to get at their thinking at the end of the day, because of high stakes testing, especially as an upper elementary school teacher, I think that that's something we need to, for better or worse, incorporate, and B, it's the most familiar format for students. The collaboration board they love, and the drawing. And also, if you're going to do the open-ended, my only suggestions are to make sure that you have sentence stems, and as you saw in my example, make sure that you have the speech to text features for accessibility so that all the students can participate. And so, you know, really, this is the end of the presentation. I didn't know. I just wanted to see if there's any other resources for reading that you have used that you think can work with Nearpod. And actually, at this point, just open it up for questions in general. And thank everybody for coming along with me for this journey. Absolutely. Epic is another one. Love Epic. Any others? And Epic, I believe, is free.
I think we have one more question. They said, can you please show us how to put MyOn story on Nearpod?
Oh, sure. So what you do, okay, sure. What I did, and I'll go back to my Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, yes, I'm still here. Please don't log me out. Okay, so for example, my Little Red Riding Hood. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to pause and go to the beginning. Now, like I said, this is where I personally use Screencastify. There's a lot of different tools. And so my Screencastify is right here. Now, in order to record the screen, oh, please work. Okay. Thank you. In order to United for Literacy, that's a new one. I'm absolutely going to have to check that out. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what you do is you see that my mic is going, but you want to switch it to, to this third one. If you're using the stereo mix, or in general, you want to use stereo mix, because if you don't, what's going to happen is they're going to get, either you're going to get a beautiful picture with no sound, or you are going to get all the sound, including the sound that may or may not be happening in your house when you are trying to record. So I'm going to record now. Now I would record a browser tab also, and you can also do this in Google Meets. Okay, and I'm going to hide this. Okay, so once that, and like I said, I know I'm watching the clock, then I would go ahead. I would do the recording up until whenever I had a point where I wanted to ask a question or embed one of those tools. Usually what I do is I publish to YouTube. Make sure you make it public or unlisted, one of those two, because I've done that also, where you make it private and then, you get lots of feedback about, Miss, the video's not working. And then you're going to copy the link, and I'm going to just go ahead and create a Nearpod right now. Nearod, how about Nearpod? Okay. And then I would go to create lesson, and I can add a slide, video, and the only reason I find that YouTube, it works the easiest, and then you embed, click, and save. And then you would save, and you would just add another slide, add your activity, and then pick whichever open-ended question, draw, collaboration board, or poll that you would like to use to have students respond. Now, what the other thing that you can do also is, let me open this up. You can actually also, for asynchronous, add the activity. The only caveat with this is if you let the whole video play and have the video and have it go embedded into the entire story, is that your only two choices are open-ended question or multiple choice. So I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions?
Okay, so I know Brooke will let us know if there are any additional questions. I would like to thank Rachel for sharing everything about blending MyOn and Nearpod with us. You did a great job. We really appreciate that. I'd like to also remind all of our attendees, we have 2 more sessions today. So hopefully you can join us for the last 2 sessions. Please remember to check your email for your certificates. We're sending them. You should have, I think, 8 emails or 8 certificates by the end of the day. And now what everybody's been waiting for, the super secret password for this session. Okay, so the secret password for this session is encourage. Okay, Rachel has encouraged us to use MyOn and Nearpod together. Don't forget, it is case sensitive, so you have got to type that capital E there. Okay, Brooke, did we have any additional questions before we stop streaming live?
Yes, one last one that just came through. Can you share the steps with us through email? And I would recommend maybe your Twitter handle if you want to contact them directly through that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. I also, yes, once again, my name's Rachel Clarke. This is my Twitter handle and this is my email. I will also be sharing the steps and the presentation at the TCCA website, but probably not until later this afternoon because I am going into another session, which is bettering parent communication using Google Blogger. So, and that's going to be at 2 o'clock.
Rachel, you might want to scroll down a little on your screen. They can't see the end of your email.
Oh,
Obviously, if it's Aldine people, they know it's aldineisd.org.
yes. Okay, let me, there we go. Okay, thank you.
Kelly, there's one more question. I think this is kind of more for you. It says, who do I contact if I'm still not receiving my emails for certificates? I know the one thing you can probably try if you're not in our district is check your trash can.
And
or spam.
That is exactly correct, because all of mine are going in different folders throughout the day. Another thing, please make sure you registered for the conference. If you did not register, then that's why you're not getting those emails. You had to go to our TCCA website, register for the conference, and then you will receive those emails. You can't just use a link that your friend sent you to, hey, watch this session. You have to register. Okay, great questions. Yes. And I see that our wonderful YouTube watcher, Ramirez, has pasted her email, Miss Clarke's, Rachel Clarke's email address in there as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to go to our next session. Everybody have a great day, and we hope we see you in the next 2 sessions.
Hey, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you, taking time to learn with me today.
Have a good